This is the Sunshine Cathedral Perspective. New documentary uncovers lack of accountability in many churches. A groundbreaking 7-part docu-series titled The Religion Business is currently in production, sparking a profound conversation about the lack of accountability and impact within various religious institutions. Directed by Emmy-winning filmmaker Nathan Apffel, this thought-provoking show promises to challenge preconceived notions and ignite a global dialogue about transparency, ethics, and faith. Produced by Corbin Productions, the documentary delves deep into the oft-taboo subject of accountability within religious organizations. It explores allegations of misconduct, financial impropriety, and cover-ups that have plagued various religious denominations. The show features interviews from former clergy members, whistleblowers, and survivors who share their personal experiences and insights into the systemic issues within religious institutions while exploring the balance of separation of church and state and tax exemption. From these stories, overarching questions emerge. If there was more accountability within religion, could religious organizations change the world for the better? How many sick could be healed? How many hungry could be fed? How many unjust deaths could be prevented? The documentary also confronts questions of power, influence, and the consequences of unchecked authority within religious hierarchies. The collaboration between filmmaker Nathan Apffel and serial entrepreneur and OIF veteran Chris Ayub is not only to create the controversial series, but also to develop technology solutions addressing the problems of the docuseries uncovers. Whew. In many ways, churches are indeed businesses. And in the business world and in the military, these are questions that keep coming up. How do we make sure that our groups are behaving as they should? In private industry, we've got a whole HR department that puts out videos that people mock, but if you pay attention to them, they're telling you that this is what acceptable behavior within our community looks like. And it's not a bad idea that now the church, some churches, are looking at this and saying, we've got a clean house, finally. Yeah. I mean, honestly, we've got a clean house. Now, anytime that we begin to look at bad behavior and say to the people, to the groups, this is unacceptable, for me, that's a good idea. I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm just surprised that it's taken 2 millennia to get to that point for some churches, and a lot of churches haven't got there yet. Yeah. A lot of churches still live within a hierarchy that is harmful to many people. Looking at church finances, yeah, everybody should be able to account for what their money is doing. Not dictating where it's spent, but at least knowing that the money that's going into the church is being used for the good of the community, whatever you define the good of the community to be.
I think that there are built-in systems of accountability in almost anything. But just like they say in AA, it works if you work it.
Yeah.
You know, how are you applying it? How are you using the system? How are you working the system? Because you can also use the system and get away with it. Because how much more authority, accountability can you have built in than in the Roman Catholic Church, where the priest has a parish council, the priest has a bishop, the bishop has whoever's above them, the Pope has the curia. There's everyone, and yet because it's so big, it's easy to get lost in that, to hide, and then the person that you're accountable to could, bring charges or send you to a mental institution, or just move you to another parish where you can do it again. So it's. I don't know that just creating systems is going to fix it, because the systems are there, and you either work it or you work against it or you work around it. We have in our system, we have a board of directors for fiduciary oversight. Everyone is supervised by at least one other person. we have deacons, and they're answerable to this and that. There are people who can't be on certain things because they're already in other things. This person can't sign a check. This person can't write a check. This person can't be on that board because they're already a deacon or whatever. Like, we have all of these rules. We have background checks. We have code of conduct we have to sign every single year. We have psychological testing. We have academic requirements. And we're pretty well behaved around here. I mean, but just because all that's in place doesn't mean there's not a way to still act out. There's a judiciary process. If you break the code of conduct, well, that's good and well, but it's broken by the time that happens.
Yeah.
It's like, we can call you on the carpet now, but that didn't keep it from happening to begin with. So I don't know. I think that some are more severe than others, but I think most things, if they exist, if they're at all functional, they have a system. Now, what are we going to do with our system? How are we going to work it? How are we going to use it? I think that, and that's a matter of personal integrity. And I also think that trying to prevent any single thing that could ever possibly go wrong, we could also get into the habit of micromanagement, and that can become abusive also. You've got to have my permission to wake up in the morning and to leave the house or whatever. Anything can be misused. And so, the system needs to be improved it, but don't think that's a fix-all.
Right.
One's personal integrity comes into the equation.
Right, and I think that's the key word, is integrity, personal integrity. If you're going to put systems in place, and this is coming from a former HR person, if you're going to put systems in place, people have to buy into those systems. People don't buy into those systems, they're just not going to work.
Right.
It's just not going to work. So you can create all the systems that you want. If people don't buy into it, if their integrity is not up to snuff, it's not going to happen. So.
And I'll just say, in my role as executive minister, I appreciate policies and procedures. I appreciate all the things we have to abide by, because it keeps me honest in my role. It keeps helping keep other people honest as well. I remember being accused one time that we had something that was going on, and someone accused us of running the church like a business. And I'm like, well, yes.
Thank you.
Thank goodness, yeah.
Thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Things have to get done, and we have to do, we have to respond accordingly to not only our church policy, but also city, state, and everything else. So, we do have to run like a business, and there are controls in place. And again, like you're saying, what you bring to that position is also your own integrity. And so when you bring your own integrity to it, then it also enables you to hopefully want to abide by the rules and regulations and not cross that line.
Yeah, I'm a great admirer of Jesus, and yet when we're trying to pull permits, the city doesn't care about that.
No, they really don't.
You got to do what you got. You know what I mean? So you have to work the systems appropriately, and if you know what you're doing and you mean well, then you will. But there's always going to be some shady person who's trying to get around, and just be aware and then use the system you have to deal with that when it comes up.
Exactly.
And when you notice shady, say something. Immediately. Don't just think, oh, you know what, I'm going to let it slide. Maybe it won't happen again. If you notice something shady, say something.
Yeah,
exactly.
And
could be an anomaly, could be a big red flag.
Yeah.
One final note. You've got tons and tons of rules, and they only work when you listen to them. There are stop signs right outside our church right there. If people didn't pay attention to those stop signs, they're useless. So again, it goes back to integrity and who you are.
Next up, we are excited to tell you about our next adventure with our Global Fellowship. In 2024, we'll be going to where the hills are alive as we explore Austria and Alpine Europe for Gay Oktoberfest. Space is extremely limited, so make sure to go to happeningout.travel/sunshine to reserve your space now.
Would you like to join the Queer God Squad on a special winter cruise in 2024? Well, now you can. You will visit Cozumel, Mexico, Grand Cayman, and Ocho Rios, and you can even add an open bar and Wi-Fi. Join us by going to happeningout.travel/sunshine.